This video focuses on the development of the industrial United States that took place between 1870 and 1900. It was a time of economic and technological transformation catapulted by the 1869 completion of the Transcontinental Railroad. It was a time of rapid expansion of big business. Men like Cornelius Vanderbilt, Andrew Carnegie, and John D. Rockefeller made the first big businesses in America. Vanderbilt built his wealth in railroads and shipping, while Carnegie created the Pittsburgh Carnegie Steel Company. Rockefeller revolutionized the petroleum industry, founding the Standard Oil Company in 1870. He would become the world's richest man and first American billionaire when kerosene and oil grew in importance. The accompanying rise of the American corporation and the advent of big business resulted in a concentration of the nation's productive capacities in fewer and fewer hands. There was also a development of large-scale agriculture. Its mechanization brought farming into the realm of big business, making the United States the world's first premier food producer. An outburst of technological innovation was also seen during this time. In 1874, Joseph Glidden invented barbed wire, and in 1876, young 29-year-old inventor Alexander Graham Bell created the first practical telephone. An economic panic happened in 1873, resulting in a 5-year depression. In 1876, Rutherford B. Hayes is elected president, and 2 years later, Congress makes the Treasury buy silver. It was a result of the 1873 panic and an attempt to return to silver coinage. In 1880, James Garfield is elected president, though he was assassinated 1 year later, leaving his vice president, Chester A. Arthur, to take his place. 1 year later, Congress passed the Chinese Exclusion Act, which banned Chinese from immigrating to the United States. It would be 10 years before this would be repealed. This act was instigated from jealousy started during the 1848 to 1855 California Gold Rush. There was also a time of western expansion during the development of the industrial United States. The addition of Idaho, Wyoming, Utah, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Washington, and Hawaii greatly expanded the United States borders. There was also great urbanization during this time. It was indispensable to the growth and development of the United States, and it was an unprecedented surge in immigration and urbanization after the Civil War. You see, American society was in transition during this time. Immigrants were arriving from Southern and Eastern Europe, Asia, Mexico, Central America, and were creating a new American mosaic. New York in 1870 held a population of 1,478,103. By 1900, it was over triple that at 3,437,202, an increase of 132.54%. Seattle in 1870 had a population of 1,107. By 1900, its population was 237,194, a 21,326.73% increase. The rise of national labor unions was also a result of this urbanization. High population of immigrant and child workers created industrial conflict when working conditions were brought to the forefront. The Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire was one of the most prime examples of poor working conditions. The workers of the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory were locked inside the factory, and when a fire broke out, no one was able to escape, and many workers perished in the fire. In 1886, the American Federation of Labor was founded, aiming to regulate labor laws, ensure fair wages, and safe working conditions. In 1890, the massacre at Wounded Knee became the last battle of the American Indian War, when 500 U.S. soldiers went against the Lakota tribe led by Spotted Elk. The attack was merciless. 90 Lakota men and 200 civilian women and children were killed. In 1890, the Sherman Antitrust and Silver Purchase Acts came into place. The Antitrust Act was the first law to prohibit business and activities that reduce competition and limit cartels and monopolies. The Silver Purchase Act increased the amount of silver the government could purchase each month. In 1890, the McKinley Tariff pushed tariffs to an all-time high at over 50%. It was not received by consumers. In 1892, the Homestead Strike occurred. It was one of the most serious issues in U.S. labor history and happened between the Anglo-Amalgamated Association of Iron and Steel Workers and the Carnegie Steel Company. It was a major defeat for the Union and a setback for efforts to unionize steelworkers. Another panic happened in 1893, which resulted in a 4-year depression. It was marked by the collapse of railroad overbuilding and shaky railroad financing, and an overmining that would decrease silver's revenue. In 1893, Cleveland repealed the Sherman Silver Purchase Act to combat the economic crisis. And in 1896, William McKinley was elected the 25th president. His first act of business would be to handle the Spanish-American War, which began when the USS Maine exploded off the coast of Cuba. It was a fight over territories like the Philippines, Puerto Rico, and Guam. Finally, in 1900, the Currency Act officially placed the U.S. on a gold standard and would enter the U.S. into an age of golden innovation. What many thought of as progress, however, others regarded with apprehension. The social problems that accompanied the nation's industrial development fueled the rise of national labor unions and unprecedented clashes between capital and labor. This discontent captured the attention of reformers and politicians who began to challenge traditional party politics through third-party movements. That concludes our lecture on the development of the industrial United States. There are extra links provided at the bottom of this page if you would like to learn more. Thank you!